Hey, this is Anthony with RevZilla TV, where you can watch, decide, and ride. Welcome to our detailed breakdown of the new LaZer Monaco Pure Carbon Modular Helmet, available at RevZilla.com. So at a glance, the LaZer Monaco Pure Carbon Helmet is really distinctive for a few key reasons. It sits atop the food chain within the LaZer line from both a functional as well as a lightweight standpoint, and it holds a distinction at RevZilla.com of being the lightest modular helmet we have and the only carbon fiber helmet we have. It's also the only carbon fiber helmet, or the only modular helmet, that ships with a photochromic lens. So keep that in mind. Around that $500 mark, you're getting a lot of helmet. It's really engineered to be a much lighter weight helmet, and it's going to come in around that 3.5 pound mark, or actually under that 3.5 pound mark, around 3 pounds 5 ounces. So truly one of the lightest we've seen, and typically from those of you out there that know your modular helmets, that love them from the touring flexibility side of things, a lot of times by adding the mechanism here on the side that allows the chin bar to go up, many times by not using a photochromic shield, you have a drop down sun visor, you're adding weight to these helmets, and they can kind of get close to that 4 pound range, and in extreme cases. 3 pounds 5 ounces is unheard of, and really on a helmet that looks aggressive enough to be worn in a multitude of touring and really sport touring conditions, we've seen a lot of initial interest from it here at RevZilla.com. We've also done a fair amount of riding in it ourselves. At any point in this video, and I'm going to walk through a lot of the features and nuances of the outside as well as the inside of the helmet. We're also going to talk about fit. I'd love to hear your gut reaction. Leave us your comments and your questions or your just feedback at RevZilla.com or RevZilla TV on our YouTube channel. You can always click here to subscribe. So let's start with fit. It's an area that a lot of people want to home in on immediately. You know, LaZer calls it their Morpho system. All of their helmets fit the same. They've made a choice, and I respect anybody in the helmet market that says this is what we think is going to fit the most people comfortably. We consider it an intermediate oval to slightly slender fit. I'm not going to call it a long oval. It's definitely not that. What it is, it's neutral to intermediate, which should fit a multitude of riders. And the liner system is going to have multiple densities within the EPS for protection, but as you get into the comfort liner, you can swap out the different sizes as well, because there are only 2 shell sizes of the helmets. So you're able to swap out your comfort liner, swap out your cheek pads. It's eyeglasses friendly, and remember, intermediate oval fit. And keep in mind too that we ship for free, exchange for free, no restock fees. So if you're concerned about buying online, we try to make it as painless as possible. Now, jumping into the exterior, let's talk a little bit about the carbon fiber, because that's the first thing people home in on. It's not an autoclaved carbon fiber. It's extremely costly to do that. To have a helmet that's going to be DOT and ECE that comes in around that $500 mark, you're really looking at a pre-pregged carbon fiber. But the nice part about pre-preg, it's the process they use to cure the carbon fiber. It's a 4-layer carbon fiber, and LaZer manages the amount of resin and the curing time that goes into baking the shell of this helmet. So what you do is you have a very pristine looking carbon fiber, done in layers, done as you'd really expect. And then by managing those amount of layers and that curing time, you're able to get a helmet that could, depending on how they would shape that, be anywhere from half to twice as strong. But it's all trade-offs between flexibility and brittleness. And when this helmet breaks down, it should break and then give and go through the 4 layers. And that's really how carbon fiber, that's not accent carbon fiber, is designed to take a crash impact. And LaZer's doing that. You also note, the main shell is going to be in carbon fiber. Moving into the chin bar, you're going to notice it looks slightly different. And it's going to match, but it's actually painted fiberglass. And this is with all of the carbon fiber or pure carbon helmets from LaZer in the Monaco line. And that's done because the chin bar houses some different elements, and they found it much easier to do a fiberglass composite chin bar that's still going to be lightweight, but again, tie things together nicely. You're getting your main weight savings, though, through the use of carbon fiber in the outer shell. The other key thing I want to home in on, and I talked about it really briefly in the early parts of the video as it relates to the exterior, is really this shield. It's a optically correct, 100% UVA proof shield. But the nice part is outside of, I'll call them out, outside of Bell, they're the only manufacturer using that photochromic shield. So when you go outside in less than 30 seconds, the sunlight will hit the helmet, hit the shield, and this will go from crystal clear to all the way down to light smoke to dark smoke for riding in the sunlight. And it happens on its own. So depending on how much sunlight is ambient or how much sunlight is present, it's going to tint and cancel that out, so it's going to stay a little bit less distracting. It's going to make you squint less on your eyes. But again, by not having the integrated sun visor system, you're saving all of that weight, and you're minimizing the amount of components that you'd have to add onto the helmet. The other nice touch is, while we stay here on the face shield, is that you're going to see that there's a Pinlock lens. Now, it's going to come uninstalled in the box. I put the lens in here. Pinlock is something that's typically a $75 to $100 upgrade if you're buying a new shield that's Pinlock ready, and then you're buying the actual lens itself. And you can see it as it's installed. And what Pinlock does is it uses the laws of physics, not a chemical coating, to create a fog-free shield. So what happens is it creates this double wall, just like the double pane windows in your house, and it doesn't allow any of your breath to condense on the outside of or the inside or the outside of the shield. So you get that perfect fog-free, and it's really dramatic how well Pinlock works. And for you guys out there that are looking at these helmets, a lot of times in the touring world, you see a lot of guys gravitate towards Pinlock. That's a nice feature. Now, I will call out, I'm going to nitpick right away, that because LaZer maybe looked at it and they said, we're using that photochromic and that Pinlock lens. There's not a lot of cases where you're going to have to change the shield. They went to a quarter turn mechanism, and I have my tool here. On the shield change mechanism, it's not a quick change. So this is in the box. It's the LaZer quick change or tool, and you do quarter turn, and it would pop right off. And you can see that right there, that's my grommet that's going to hold everything together. And if I can get it up off the desk here, there we go. I can quickly put it back together. It's very simple in its construction. You can do it with your fingernail. I think that's a little tough, but again, it comes with this tool. But most times you're not going to have to lock that. Quarter turn, and you're back in business. Now, on to the venting. We talked about a lot of times how venting integrates with the airflow on the shield from the interior to help in defogging. This helmet's no different. It's a 3-position open, middle, and closed position that's going to vent to the face shield, to the face within the helmet, but it really is less necessary because you have that Pinlock system at work. And then as we move up to the top of the helmet, you're going to see a chimney vent on top, 3-position, open, middle, and closed. You can see it, I have my middle position there. And that's going to vent to 2 10mm EPS holes that are going to channel into the helmet. Now the rear exhaust is really a passive exhaust. It's going to vent thinly out the back. And you also notice on the side here, there are also some vents that are going to channel out actually behind the ears. And that's a new style vent position that we don't see that in a lot of different helmet manufacturers, but you have those as well. So really 3 key exhaust ports on the sides, on the top. And the other thing that leads us right into is reflectivity on this helmet. Now the LaZer logo is reflective in both places. And you'll notice this red stripe that's actually removable, but it's a red pre-installed, it's actually stuck on there, reflective stripe. LaZer's looking at these helmets and saying, we're trying to give the rider, especially in touring scenarios, the best chance to stay safe and stay visible. And a lot of times within this market, a lot of riders are really thinking about that as it relates back to their safety on the bike, and they're appreciating that. You can also notice when I flip it underneath, you're going to see the reflectivity in the neck roll, as well as the reflectivity in the removable chin curtain that's going to cover up the locking mechanism. You can see it right in there, it's red, that allows us to open the chin bar. Looking at the chin bar, it's a dual hinge, so you have your hinge for your face shield and you have your hinge for your chin bar. Other thing I want to call out is LaZer's thinking about safety. The chin bar does not have a stop. It actually has a detent that holds it in place at the top. But if you were in a crash and it opened, or you had it opened, it would actually rotate back. So it's not going to pull your neck. It's designed to break away and shear off and keep the force from being transferred to your neck. So if I rotate the LaZer Monaco Pure Carbon back up, let's start to work our way into the guts. We've talked about the chin bar. It's a one-handed release. It's spring-loaded. And if you come in here really tightly, you can see that it's a brass alloy connection point, and it's spring-loaded here. So it's going to lock when it's down. A lot of times we'll see lesser helmet companies or lesser models that will use a plastic integration or even a lesser type of material there. Using the brass alloy is a nice touch. We see stainless steel works really well. They really looked at how they could weight save on this helmet as they went into it. Micrometric buckle, which means one-hand operation with a glove on. This is a very European thing. We see it on some of the manufacturers. Some manufacturers use double D-ring. Notice that it's adjustable on the left side, so for those of you guys that have a bigger Adam's apple, it's forward enough, you should be able to keep it out of the way. And then even the neck roll here. One of the things I haven't really talked a ton about is quiet. And LaZer's stance is that for hardcore riders at this level, a lot of times these riders are going to wear either earbuds or their own custom fitted earplugs. Now, we found the loudness on this helmet, or the quiet factor, to be somewhere in the middle. It's not the loudest modular we've ever worn. It's also not the quietest helmet like we'd see for maybe a Schubert C3. But LaZer stance was they wanted to put all of their effort into the protection, safety, comfort, and lightweight side of things. And they really said for most of their helmets, they're not focusing as much on quiet. And that's by design. And that's really their choice. Now, if you look at some of the Drylex material in the inside, antimicrobial, antibacterial, it's going to be nice and soft. This is actually the new style liner from LaZer. I don't even think they've seen this in Europe yet. Here on the DOT version. And if we start to pop it out, I'm going to start with my comfort liner. 4 main connection points, and you'll notice that it's 3D in its shape. There's a lot of padding, but it also is finished nicely. Notice that it has a mesh bonnet that pulls everything together. It's going to get good airflow from the top, from the channels, and it's really a very soft, almost a micro fleece style feel. You can even see the free hanging pieces that are meant to create less seams, and that's going to be all-encompassing. And again, if you buy a medium helmet and you want to get a small headliner, you can do that as well. LaZer calls that their Morpho system. Moving back into the guts of the helmet, the cheek pads are fully removable. If I bring it up here, you should be able to see a clean view of it. So I come in and I have my micro ratchet system here. The other thing is these helmets are very Bluetooth unit friendly. So you see my cheek pad comes out here. Again, it's low profile. There's going to be a cheek pad. Behind the cheek pad, there's actually a removable speaker, and it's a finished speaker, or not a speaker, speaker pad rather, and it's going to have a nice density to it, so it should do some good noise canceling against your ear when it's in and really fill that void when you're not using a third-party Bluetooth unit. But even with this modular, again, sometimes you get into the modular realm and you'll see helmets that have their drop-down sun visor mechanism on the left side where you'd put an external aftermarket Bluetooth unit. The LaZer Monaco doesn't have that, so you're going to be able to easily get to it and install. We've installed Cenas and Cartas on this helmet, and we haven't had any issues. And notice they've even gone as far to putting female Velcro on the speaker pocket back there, so you're going to have an easy time marrying any speaker instantly with that speaker cutout notch. Looking at the EPS, you can see the channeled liner all the way up. See it very clearly with the vent holes that come in all the way to the front. Notice that tri-vent there towards the brow where it would come in through the top. Again, good ventilation all the way down, kind of what I call the mohawk of the helmet that will exhaust all the way down at the back of your neck and move on out. And keep in mind too, with the Drylex liner, if they ever get gunkified, both with your comfort liner and your cheek pads, you can always run them underwater, give them a quick soak, let them dry out or air dry, and reinstall them, and you'll be good to go. But they are going to be antimicrobial and antibacterial. The other thing to consider, if you notice when I had the helmet up, and I can do it one more time here, is there are multiple densities of EPS going on here. There's actually 3. And really what LaZer's done is they looked at the different areas of your head. And if we pull this down, you're going to notice, remember, helmets are spheres, but they're not perfect spheres. So as you rotate around, you're going to have different angles and different areas that could create a different impact zone with the ground in the event of a crash. So what happens is, throughout the helmet, both with the forehead, on its way back to the top of the helmet, to the crown, you're going to have different layers of EPS or different densities that are going to give you different properties in a crash. And keep in mind too, by not having to introduce a drop-down sun visor, you're getting a full-strength EPS on the brow of the helmet. So remember, we carry the full line of LaZer helmets at RevZilla.com. You can click right here to go buy the LaZer Monaco Carbon Fiber helmet. Remember how painless it is when we ship and exchange for free. No worries there if you're not sure about it. And as always, if you want to talk to a gear geek about our experiences with the LaZer Monaco Carbon Fiber or any of the nuances, see us at RevZilla.com or 877-792-9455. Thanks for watching our detailed breakdown. I'm Anthony. We'll see you next time.